Hello there, it's Professor Stig, working on our Audrey 2 Maya character project. We are now to the keyframing and animation video. This is part 20. And let's see what you can do with this rig, that being this rig that we've worked on for the last 7 weeks. So let's see what's possible with this thing.
Yeah! Yeah!
Every curve has been utilized in this performance.
Yeah!
And there's something nice there. Of course, this is a more advanced animation. I'm going to still show you exactly how it's done, but in a very classical way here. So let's go to our key poses. I want you to understand there's something going on called anticipation. That would be this. It's winding up before it does anything. No matter how small, no matter how big, there's always a wind up for it. He's pulling back before he goes forward. So if you understand that much, you're going to be making animations that don't feel very robotic right off the bat, just by key posing and posturing your character. Now, he does shoot and extend past where he's going to be, which is right there. See, he overshoots and comes back a little bit, and then he smooths or eases back to the final resting place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main poses. There's going to be little sub poses and things in between there, but that's the idea for any movement that our character might do. See if we can identify that here. Let's look at the neck controller. You can see there's all these red tick marks on here. Those are keyframes set by, so it's going up and down right there before he comes up. The big move is yeah, right? Right there, that's working. Now these leaves, these are an overlapping action. So those will follow like a tail or a streamer behind the primary force of the action. See how those are trailing behind and then springing up after? It's almost, they're bouncing almost in opposition. That's called overlap, right? And follow through. Everything is following. If you were to put, if he was to have a smoke bomb between his teeth that was lit, which would be extremely dangerous. I don't recommend that, but for understanding, if he was to move his head around, there would be a smoke trails that almost move in figure eights and circles and arcs, curves. Nothing would be very straight or linear. Almost virtually nothing in animation moves in a straight line, except for robots and maybe woodpeckers. Okay, one more piece of animation in terms of 3D or CG animation. I want you to look at these curves in the graph editor and understand that there's a position on a graph for each movement, but they have to be offset to one another. So you'll see here's the 0. Okay, that's the medium That's where things always come back to default. So I hold down K and Maya, and we're going to scrub. So we're looking at just the mouth curve, just when he opens his mouth. Okay, you see it's holding flat here. Now, in a very swift and quick motion that probably takes 7 frames, he's going to open his mouth. Continuing, it's kind of a hold here. These are closely associated. And then snapping closed within 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 frames. Just by position on a graph. Now, you can select those, and with the Move Curve tool in the graph editor, you can move that, accentuate that up and down. So let's say he has his mouth open. If we drag that while the cursor is over that region, you can see you can adjust anything up and down. You can also adjust side to side. I don't suggest doing that until you are in the polishing stage. Try to keep your animation in key poses as much as possible. Now, to start out, your curves will not look like this. They will look more like this, because you will have, just looking at the mouth, see, it's either open or closed, and it's holding there. Now, for a mouth, you could get away with just keeping it in step pose, because it has this it's closed or open. Maybe you could do linear curves like this. Because the mouth moves so fast, it gets right to the point. And also note, keep in mind that the mouth is to open before the sound can come out. So he's to open his mouth. So here, listen to the sound. His mouth is almost starting to open, so we can almost move that back a little bit right here. And you can move that left and right. See, that looks nice there. Okay, I'm going to open a new clean file with no animation, and we can start on doing some keyframing. So there's no animation on this. Everything's zeroed out. 0, 0, because we built it properly. Right, 0, 0, 0. Everything's default. So let's work on just the. Let's work on the neck animation. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to hit S. Well, S is what I hope to hit. S to hold. Remember, the neck is going to be starting somewhere. So let's hold it to about here, and then he's going to start dropping down. So let's go to, I can also Alt period to go forward, step frame by frame, Alt comma to go back frame by frame. If I hit S now, it's making another key pose. How about we start dropping him down like we were doing with our, drop him forward a little bit. Maybe a little to the side. Now, those key poses are not set up on the other channels. So looking up at the channel box, you go back to this one. Those others are 0. So let's, no, let's not shift it till then. So it's going to come down, they're all going to move, and then we'll have him roll across here, not in a linear way. We'll try to give it a, how about we put a in between key pose there, but down. So I'm going to hit comma to get right to it, or period just to snap to the frames that I need. He needs to drop down a little bit and be in the middle. And then I have turned on the auto keyframe. That's the plus with the circular arrows around it, counterclockwise. Let's have it come back up. We're just updating, so now you can look in the graph editor and see all the key poses in action here. Period. 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 Right, so those key poses look nice. Just do the part. We can drag and move these over. So it takes a little longer to make this action. Okay, now's a chance if we like it. Good. Let's turn these all to auto tangents. See, auto tangents, and see if we like it. It's okay. We can go with that for now. Let's do the mouth. So start right at the beginning. Let's do this just on the time slider here. We know that curve is set, so when I hit S, it makes a little red swatch. So I have his mouth. How about we keep his mouth open to here, and I'll eventually close so he can make the sound. And that's just a closed mouth, but his lips look like he's making an Keep them closed to here. I'm going to just hit S again. Now this time, I'm going to let the auto keyer take over and open his mouth. Yeah. It's about... I'm going to go not fully open because when he laughs, then it will be more exaggerated, relative. Okay, boom. Just going to hold to here. I'll just hit S to keyframe that. But now he's going to close his mouth about here. Close it well enough. And then hold it. Go right into his laugh. Hit S. Go for a bigger laugh. Hit S. Always double keyframe to hold the pose. So when you go into spline mode, it's going to hold in those positions. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it'll just flow to the next pose and look very like it's drifting around. So I'd like to make this a little more natural by going and editing the curves. Have him go, yeah. And it fires his mouth. So maybe take that one away. Yeah. I've found myself, even when things are being held in a position, I offset them just a little bit to just a little more, one higher than the other, just a little bit. See how that slightly shifts? That's what I call a moving hold, or it's called a moving hold. But I'm using that idea right there. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to polish this chunk, even though I normally would say go through the whole pass with one curve. Yeah, I bet I'm just going to demonstrate best practice. Let's get the mouth.
Yeah! Yeah!
I'm right-clicking to insert that key there. I really think that would be best to have a bigger mouth, and then not so much of a counter. That looks better. Now, one bit of advice: head tilts are going to be crucial to helping sell the modulation of his voice. Usually if you watch or pay attention to people speaking, when they raise their voice, their head goes up. When they drop their voice, their head will then follow accordingly, or lead accordingly. So let's do that for our character. Starting at zeros, I'm just going to lock it in at default. And then shift somewhere around here. then that anticipation would probably be something here and further before he rocks his head up to pretty powerful and strong pose there. Maybe this can go back a little bit. And that one can also move back. Now, I stopped going on this course. We want to get this head in a position by moving the neck into a place that also helps look like his level of energy is up. So we'll actually put his head up. See, he's having this kind of swooping, curvy motion here. Arcs. Okay, and then we'll have him settle back down for this, and that we'll call that section has been addressed for that pass, that layer. He's coming down for a big laugh, and then he's gonna shoot up. Okay, let's see. Let's make those auto tangents here. I'm just control clicking all of those, and at the end here where I did the updates at the end, we're gonna select those keyframes and auto tangent right there. Now, see? Now the head tilts, let's do the same with those. So we can see we like our poses. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's do that. Let's turn those to auto tangents. So that's the idea.
Yeah!
Okay, we're going to need a couple more head tilts. Oh, let's have him tilt down at the end here. So auto keyer is on, that's why this will work. But he's still snapping down, so in terms of the tangent-based move there. Wrong controller, I need to be on the head controller. And you'll see the controller, when I move that down, it's because it was already on the position that had already been interpolated with auto. I was expecting to see stepped key poses like that. Right for the head. So have him roll his head really high by hit comma to go directly back to that keyframe, set up, and update. Yeah, that's working out.
Yeah!
Now, forgetting all that, let's go analyze what I had before. And we'll see that on the head, laugh, when he's laughing, the translate Y channel when he laughs is Lots of jolts and jerks. And just so you can gauge, it took me about 9, 10, maybe 11 hours with just final really tweak things. I believe, I didn't time it directly, but I believe that's how long it took me to do this. And that is the idea of how it's done based upon CG control curves and creating a character and bringing life to it. Shooting reference of yourself doing it, acting it out. Maybe you've just photographed and you with your hand or your arm doing the action more like a puppet, like a sock puppet style. Watch people when they walk, or when they walk, when they talk, when they move around. Don't gawk at them, but just observe these subtle things, and your animations will be better for it. So,
Yeah!
this is Professor Stig signing off.